What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop. Tuesday NBA slate is what we're talking about, but we're live Monday night, every night. Buckets podcast, Action Network YouTube page. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I got a couple of the sharpest minds in the building with me tonight. But first, we are presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. K1, Kyle Murray's in the building. M1, Michael Fiddle is in the building. M1 because he's the sharpest market reader in the game right now, and he's right here at Action Network. Bryan Fonseca, the man, my Puerto Rican brother on the East Coast. I am your host, Sean Little. We're learning a lot, but it's so much that we don't have anything to share. So you know how we do. We get the play, we get the cap, we get you guys out of here. 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. Then we'll give you guys a DraftKings King of the Court combined total person we think will have the most points, rebounds, and assists. K1, how you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Like you mentioned, we got to learn a lot about the NBA today, but I figured we'll not talk about that so I don't have to yell at myself about Giannis today. But yeah, other than that, I'm feeling pretty good.
Michael Fiddle, how are you?
I'm good. Fresh off of a trip to see my brother's baby girl and go to a good friend's wedding, and I'm back home, ready to cap. Back in the workshop.
Sounds like the unit just went up. You gotta spoil the niece. You know what I'm saying? So sounds like the unit's got to go up a little bit. Fonseca, what's happening, big dog?
Went 4-0 today, and I'm dreading the potential 0-4 tomorrow. So now I'm like scared because I've had a couple of really good days lately. And
did that include a Heat money line?
It did. 4-0 with betting Heat money line this year. I said it before the Heat Knicks. I was like, look, they're going to split these games. So whoever loses Friday, I'm taking a Monday, and I stuck to that.
All right, here we go. Let's get into it because we got a handful of games on this Tuesday NBA slate. I'm going to go to you first, Michael Fiddle. Give me your 3-star play on the Tuesday NBA slate.
Feels like every time I do a 3-star play, it is on the Golden State Warriors, now -3.5, best you could find in the market, and I am okay with it. They are in Orlando for this game. I model this game at Warriors -2.9, and then we have to do some manual adjustments for Paolo being out and Jalen Suggs being questionable, which that easily gets me to 3.5, 4 showing up in the market. So I'll go with the old savvy vets to take on Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, and a bunch of young guys playing extended minutes. Make it simple, make it easy. Give me the dubs to get it done on the road. Warriors -3.5.
So do you think what you're making the number and what's getting spit out is because just guys are going to be getting exposed to more minutes, more playing time? Goga Bitadze, the whole rest of I guess that second unit is getting a lot of looks for Orlando. Do you think, is it just experience versus young guys getting too many minutes?
Yeah, so without going like too much into detail about exactly how I model, like this is based on full season numbers to date, which not too much data, but I even do home and road splits. So we're tracking some statistics for road Warriors and some statistics for home Magic. And so that's giving me the number without even doing an adjustment on Paolo being out and Suggs being on the wrong side. So Paolo's value is baked into a lot of the games that he's already played at home. So I have to do a manual adjustment beyond that with him being out. Then you factor in some of the spots. I don't believe this is a bad rest day for the Warriors. I'll look it up right now. But looking at the spot and where the number is, it's just like should be moving close to 4.5, 5. In where I have it. So playing it at 3.5, 4 is probably the last place I would do it. We have one rest day for both teams, so not a bad rest spot, not a 3 and 4 for Golden State. Golden State's been pretty bad in 3 and 4 on the roads this year. That's kind of where even with Jimmy and Steph playing in a lot of those, that's where the minutes have caught up to the old guys. So full day's rest, no 3 and 4, no back-to-back. I like the Golden State Warriors in this spot. I think this could close 4.5, maybe even 5.
Yeah, Warriors coming off a big win against New Orleans. Moses Moody went crazy. He hit 7 threes in the first quarter. Him, Klay Thompson, and Steph are the only Warriors to ever do that. So that's fun for Moses Moody and the gang. It is the 5th game of a 5-game roadie versus the Orlando Magic. K1, what do you think of this play?
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. Fiddle's talking about the rest, and really the Warriors, they're on a decent rest schedule, but they also haven't really had to push their guys too much recently. They had that one close game against the Spurs, but they've had a lot of spots where guys like Draymond and Steph and Butler can go out there and play 25 or fewer minutes. So these guys should be in a pretty good spot from a rest standpoint, especially obviously with Orlando shorthanded, no Paolo. Potentially getting Jalen Suggs back, but I think obviously Paolo being out is the big key there. So I like it. I back it.
Fonseca, anything to worry about with potentially Suggs is questionable. If he goes, I know K1 says there's not a lot of tread on the tires, or they're not being used a ton, and they're getting some decent rest. But Steph Curry's had of course, a few monster games, but it's been pretty up and down. He looked horrible the other night against New Orleans. Any worry that Curry, with this matchup against potentially Suggs, could give him a little trouble, and maybe the Warriors can't score enough? Just to play a little devil's advocate.
Yeah, I guess more of my concern would be if Franz doesn't get going, what are the answers that Orlando then has to come up with? Because at least you would think you have Jimmy Butler, and you've seen other role guys step up. Moses Moody most recently for Golden State in the event that Steph may have an off night, but I'm not sure he will. He has a game recently where he struggled against Orlando in the past. I want to say it was last season. I don't even think Jalen Suggs might have been active for that one. So I think he's kind of a swing piece, but not to that degree. And I like what Orlando, I've liked how they look since Paolo's been out, but it's also been, against like the Nets, for example, that one half against the Knicks, obviously they looked really good. And then against Houston, they dragged them into overtime. But I think this is I might tail this because even though Golden State has me a little skittish just on a night-to-night basis, but I do think they should have more to finish this, even though I don't know what Jimmy Butler I'm going to get on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, and the ups and downs I'm talking about with Steph, you just go back a couple games. He scored 11 on 4 of 13 from the floor against the Thunder. Then he absolutely torches the Spurs in back-to-back games, and then has a struggle game against New Orleans where he scores 9 points on 2 of 11. So when he's not playing the Spurs in the last couple of games, it's only been a 4-game sample size. He's had a couple, I guess, struggle nights, but I do like this spot. I like the Warriors overall, and Orlando's been about as inconsistent as you can possibly be to start the season. So who knows who's going to show up on the Orlando side. Let's see if the Golden State Warriors want to close out the road trip strong, or they want to fold up, pack it up, and get back to the crib. We shall see. All right, K1, Kyle Murray, give me your 3-star NBA play for the Tuesday NBA slate.
Yeah, I'm going to Keldon Johnson taking the over 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Obviously, Wemby is going to be out for a few weeks with a calf injury. Hopefully, he comes back as soon as possible and as healthy as possible. But also, the Spurs will be without Stephon Castle, who's been the primary ball handler for a lot of the season. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox recently returned as well, but Castle's been very productive, playing a lot of minutes. So I think this could be an interesting spot of not only usage and all these rates improving for Keldon Johnson, but also a minutes bump for Johnson. Last game, obviously, with Wemby out, and we saw Stephon Castle leave the game and not return. He played about 15 minutes. Keldon Johnson played 23 minutes, but he closed with the starters, Fox, Cornette, Vassell, Harrison Barnes. So that tells me that Keldon Johnson's likely to get the start here, or at least be in the closing unit. HOPENY could start, but either way, Keldon Johnson should be in for a minutes bump. Even when giving him a conservative projection of 26 minutes for Johnson, I still have him at about 24 PRA in this spot. And again, I think that there's a chance that he starts and closes, so that could get him in that 28 to 30 plus minute range. Matchup here against Memphis isn't great. They do play pretty slow, but they're also a bottom 10 defensive efficiency team. 234 total is a pretty high one. So a lot of good things here for Keldon Johnson. So I'm taking the over here on his PRA.
I love this spot. I'll comment first. People forget Keldon Johnson used to absolutely fill it up before a lot of guys showed up in San Antonio. He was their offensive guy, the trigger man that would get a lot of volume, was willing to get a lot of volume. And like Kyle Murray said, it's clear that Mitch Johnson trusts him coming down the stretch. He's been there for quite a while now. He's like the vet spur on that team. So yes, I like that spot. He's trusted, and he can absolutely fill it up. He just hasn't had the opportunity because a lot of guys that handle the rock have shown up. But that Spurs team is deep. Keldon Johnson is an offensive first guy. I really like this look, K1. Fiddle, any thoughts on KJ?
I just look forward to seeing how the Spurs distribute a lot of Wembanyama's production, right? Like Fox should have a nice chance to take off here. Luke Cornett should be pretty valuable in some prop looks, potentially fantasy basketball type of looks. I know that's Fonseca's world. KJ should, get it done. Absolutely. Sohan's back, so we'll see how that impacts Keldon Johnson. But he was a Team USA player for a few years back, right? So when Pop was coaching Team USA, he brought Keldon Johnson along. He certainly has the chops to fill it up and the veteran capacity and leadership within that locker room to take on a bigger load when needed.
Fonseca, any final thoughts on Keldon Johnson over PRA?
Yeah, I looked at him. I looked at Sohan. I looked at Cornett just to see who's going to step up in Wembanyama's unfortunate absence. But I do think Keldon Johnson is probably the best candidate to do so, especially from a scoring perspective. So if you do play fantasy basketball, sniff around your waiver wire, see if any of those three guys are available. Because I went and got Jeremy Sohan because I couldn't get Keldon Johnson a few hours ago.
Yeah, if you go back to 2023, Keldon Johnson started 63 games for the Spurs and averaged 22 points per on 18 shot attempts per game. So when the volume is there, he can fill it up. So yeah, I like this look a lot as they figure out how they're going to navigate minutes without Victor Wembanyama on the floor with the left calf. I hope this isn't a long period of time that Victor's out. I know it's almost like people are scared to put it in the atmosphere and don't want to say it, but I don't love the soft tissue lower body stuff for the big fella there. So yes, we will cross our fingers and hope Victor gets back as soon as possible. All right, Bryan Fonseca, give me your 3-star play for the Tuesday NBA slate.
All right, let's take a risk with the 3-star play. LeBron James, who might be back tomorrow, officially questionable to return. He may make his season debut from sciatica, and I'm looking at him to make potentially 2 or more threes in this game against the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, by the way, who give up the 3rd most 3-point attempts per 100 possessions, and I don't think that LeBron James is going to play all the minutes or put up 27, 8, and 8 as we're accustomed to him doing. But I do anticipate that he'll come out and try to make something happen because he's LeBron James. He's theatrical. He's going to shoot probably from 30 feet, maybe to his own detriment. He's obviously shot more threes as his career has went on. His 3-point shooting attempts have gone a little bit down, actually, the last couple of years per 36 minutes per 100 possessions. But still, last season shot 6 threes per 36. So basically 1 every 6 minutes. And I do think that as you get older and this dude is in his 40s, you don't want to drive to the basket that often. You probably are content with standing outside, getting a 3-point shot. And I think the Lakers, they'll probably have to, by force, make it so that he can blend in with this roster. So I think he'll be involved to a pretty healthy degree. So we'll go with LeBron James at plus money. There's actually a plus 135 out there right now for him to make 2+ threes in this game against Utah.
Yeah, this is interesting because, throughout the years, as I've been getting serious about betting, it's been a while, but anytime an NBA player specifically that's been out for a long period of time pops up on the questionable side of the injury report, they almost always go or get some type of look. So I'm very interested to see if LeBron does actually suit it up. He's been doing all the teases on Instagram, sweating and on the bike and all this other stuff. So he's been giving us the full LeBron James rollout that he'll be suiting up very soon. Let's see if it's Tuesday night. Fiddle, let me talk to you about the market and how you see it and how it affects the number when a guy like LeBron James, the birds are chirping that he may suit back up. For a team that's playing Utah, which is going to be an absolutely all offensive focused game, up and down, 17 seconds left on the shot clock, people will be shooting shots. If you watch that Jazz Bulls game the other night, it was absolutely insane how many shots got up with like 17 or 18 seconds left on the shot clock. So when you hear the rumors, it's an information game, sports betting. You hear the rumors, LeBron James may be coming back. How do you approach that game? Do you just leave it alone altogether? How do you think the market's going to react to the LeBron James news?
So, Sean, I think it's actually a great question. Coming into this season at the beginning of the year, I had LeBron pegged at worth 2.8 points against the spread. I also had Luka at 4.2, but I've actually increased Luka sans LeBron for the first chunk of the season to like close to 5.5. And then now we're going to actually bring Luka's value down, and we're slowly going to ramp LeBron's value against the spread up to 2.8, 3 points. I would say we're probably going to get minutes restriction LeBron for the first game, maybe a few games. So maybe we're looking at 1.52 to start out, and then that'll creep towards 3. And if he's playing great and he looks like all NBA LeBron again, maybe we get to 3.5. So they're going to work interchangeably. Of course, those are also two guys who are so strong with on-ball responsibility. So they're like kind of a cluster injury if they're both out. If one of them's out already, like LeBron's out and then Luka missed some games with the finger, with the leg contusion, you have that compounding factor of like losing a lot of ball handling responsibility. We did see this get overpriced in the market against this Jazz team. We had this like where it should be is about 12 points against the spread. If LeBron's active, maybe on a slight minutes restriction based on market ratings. And we had like 13.5s out in the market at some point. I thought I saw it out to that far. And now it's starting to come back because it's like, wait. Yeah, LeBron's going to come back. And he's one of the easier players to read the tea leaves if he's going to play. But like, yeah, LeBron's going to come back. But we shouldn't be going all the way out to 13.5. It should probably be closer to 12. So we have some 12 and a halves, 11 and a halves in the market. We did see a little bit of an overreaction to this news. And I think that's also baked into he's not going to play 30 minutes tomorrow.
At DraftKings right now, as we record this Monday night, 10:40 Central Time, 12.5, 236.5, plus 470 is the number on the Utah Jazz side. So yeah, it's at DK. It's settled at that 12.5 number. K1, when you're putting in projections and you're projecting for one of the best basketball players we've ever seen, but we also don't know how 40-year-old basketball players come off sciatica. Do you just have to see LeBron suited up and play and how he looks for at least a little bit of a sample size?
Yeah, I think preferably I would. I think the big thing for me, obviously, when projecting the NBA, it all comes down to getting the minutes right. And I think it's going to be very difficult to get the minutes right, not only on LeBron, but I think on a lot of these other ancillary pieces in LA. I will say the one thing that I think is an interesting angle for LeBron and why I like this bet, if I was going to bet LeBron, it would be in the three-point market, is last year he was at about, just right around 6 three-point attempts per game. I think there's a good chance that we actually see that increase because of the new role that he could play with, obviously, Austin Reeves. Seemingly he's taking a step forward every single year, more so as a ball handler, as a playmaker. Obviously, we know what Luka's going to be capable of. So LeBron, obviously, I know he can likely still be LeBron at times, but I wouldn't be surprised if he turns a little bit more into a spot-up shooter, especially initially while he works his way back. I projected him for 28 minutes. I feel like that might be an aggressive number, but it felt like the Lakers probably aren't going to, activate him to roll him out there for 18 to 20 minutes a game. I'm sure that they feel good about him being able to play 28 minutes, but I think also with the 12.5 point spread, we could see the Lakers end up being able to have the luxury of being cautious with him and with the game flow. But that 28-minute projection, I have him hitting 2 threes 56% of the time. So with that being said, at the plus money number that Brian got, I like the bet.
There you go. LeBron James could potentially be back in the fold. What more do you want from the NBA? It's fucking fantastic every single night. All right, we got some more plays, but before we get to those 2 stars, let's hear from our guy, Matt Moore.
The Buckets Podcast is teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. To get started, use promo code BUCKETSNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BUCKETSNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. The crown is yours.
DraftKings taking care of everybody with the League Pass extension. Shout out our guys. The crown is yours. All right, Fiddle, I'm coming back to you. Give me your 2-star play for the 6-game NBA slate.
I'm going to go with the Detroit Pistons visiting the Atlanta Hawks over 228.5. I have this little theory that I've been working on called the no point guard theory. And it started when Caitlin Clark was missing so many games for the Indiana Fever and the total would drop. And then subsequently it would go way over. And then the market started to catch on and say, wait. If we're not waiting for our point guard to give the outlet to off a rebound, and whoever gets said rebound immediately starts pushing up the court, we actually get into our offense a lot faster. We get past half court at one of the highest rates in the league. And then you get up a boost in pace. And pace is the number one factor for handicapping totals in basketball, NBA or WNBA. And so I think we're seeing something similar with the Hawks. 3 straight games north of 120. I think the lone game recently where they weren't was against the Clippers, who play incredibly slow. And so whether that's Jalen Johnson, whether that's Dyson Daniels, whether that's Risa Shea, whoever gets the rebound just starts going. And so I think that's actually a really important factor to take note of. And so I'm going to go with the over here. Also, you get the little boost that if Cade Cunningham does come back and play in this game for Detroit, that's obviously an incredible offensive hub coming back. That's going to pop this total to close to 232. So I think this is like a floor play if Cade is out. And I think it has a lot of upside and a little bit of a theory that I'm working on where I like that this total goes up even though Trae Young is out because the game gets faster.
3 straight overs for the Atlanta Hawks. Over 230.5 versus Sacramento. Over 234.5 versus Utah. They just went over against Phoenix for over 226 with a 124-122 win. That's an interesting theory. I think that's really fun and something you can keep tabs on because, and I think another point is you're just not catering to one person handling the rock and orchestrating things. Ball can just fly around. They just got to figure it out on the fly and how they want to go about it, possession to possession, which can create some quicker looks. K1, what do you think about the total and the no point guard theory?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we've seen it with Jalen Johnson. That guy gets the ball on rebound, and he is looking to get to the other side of the court as fast as possible. So I can definitely see that theory being a true thing here. I will say the number I like a lot because it kind of feels like this number is implying that Cade's going to miss this one. But if there's a chance that he comes back, I think, like Fiddle mentioned, that total goes up. And even if he does miss, we've seen some pretty good production behind it from guys like Dennis Jenkins. Karis LeVert had a decent game today. So I think that there is still plenty of ways that the Pistons can get buckets, even if Cade is out. And if he's back, obviously that's a guy who can go out there and score 40 points any given night. That will also obviously help and over here. So I like it.
Yeah, Detroit off of back-to-back as well. Fonseca, any thoughts here on the no point guard theory and this total?
I like it for betting purposes. I hate it for actual basketball purposes because I think teams need point guards. And I think we're just, telling anyone to just, hey, push the ball up the court, nothing matters. And then when it's late into the shot clock or late in a game, you could see that, we actually need somebody to organize this possession and get the right person the ball because it's just chaotic out here. But for betting purposes, I like it because, teams are not waiting for their point guard to come around, down the sideline to come get the ball when a big gets the rebound. All the bigs can dribble now. But yeah, for basketball reasons, but that's another podcast for another day.
I also think once you have you don't get Trae that outlet pass, then you dribble up, your pick and roll numbers are going to drop precipitously, right? And so we see that with Miami right now. They're not running any pick and rolls and their pace is just electric. So I think this team is going to go no point guard theory and a huge drop in pick and roll rate.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the Miami Heat, do yourself a favor and go watch a couple of quarters of them because Fiddle just laid it out. They're not wasting time doing anything. Anything that gets in the way of getting up a shot quicker is completely scratched out. It's an approach that I would really be interested in seeing in the playoffs because it's just such a completely different game. It's such a different style of play.
Remember, they do have point guard though. Davion Mitchell,
true.
point guard.
Davion Mitchell's fucking awesome, and Jaime seems to pick up and play point guard whenever he feels like it, possession by possession as well. So we'll see. Pistons 0-2 ATS off back-to-backs. This will be their third back-to-back. They're 0-2 ATS to start the year, and the Hawks 1-1 to the over on no rest. So stay tuned there. Fonseca, give me your 2-star play.
2-star play is, we're going deep into the bench here. Well, not that deep. Goga Batadze over 9.5 points plus rebounds against the Golden State Warriors. Somebody's got to clean glass against Golden State. And in terms of them rebounding and the defensive rebounding metrics, like Golden State isn't amazing. And Goga Batadze is just a guy who keeps beating this number very consistently throughout the season. And this kind of feels like a buy low given that he had overtime. Well, he had overtime against Houston as a bench player, so it doesn't really matter that much because your minutes are going to get capped. And part of why this is so low is because Goga Batadze doesn't play that many minutes. But he has gone over the majority of times this season, including 3 of his last 4. And you can go a little bit further back than that, like even when Paolo was active. His minutes will probably be in that 15 to 18 range still, even with Paolo Banchero out. But he does draw a nice matchup here where I think he can get, a little 5-5 and just keep it moving. I don't want the assists because he doesn't really get assists. He has 16 on the season. So points, rebounds, 9.5. And I do think that he poses an interesting matchup against Golden State's bench because Golden State doesn't have a ton of size to compete with Goga Batadze here on the inside.
I love Goga Batadze. I love a lot of those Magic guys, man. I've been on them for multiple years now. I love Goga. He's one of the same guys. Fiddle, since you're on the Warriors, any thoughts on this Goga play? Could he impact this game at all, you think?
He could for sure have an impact. I mean, especially if the Warriors win, then hopefully Goga plays extended minutes, right? Like if we get a nice little 20-point Warriors lead, maybe Brian and I could both cruise to easy wins on that. I don't mind this at all. Brian is very into his niche props and he's good at it. He knows I'm always astounded with how much basketball he knows and how much sports he knows across the board. So you would expect Brian covering the amount of things that he does to just come with like a standard side or total. Him finding these niche props speaks to how well he knows the game and how much he still studies it. So I can't go against him because this is definitely not the markets that I dive into, but I also can see Warriors by 20 in the third quarter and some Goga run extended minutes. Let's do it.
K1, what do you got over there projected? Anything for Goga Batadze?
Yeah, I have him at 16 minutes, 6 points, 5.2 rebounds. So I am going over here. The one issue that I might see coming to fruition is maybe some small ball here in this game. But I think with the Warriors having Al Horford as well as Draymond, they have not been doing that as much this year. Last year we saw it pretty consistently. Yeah. But, I think if Goga can play anywhere from 15 to 16 plus minutes, which should be no problem, I think he gets it done.
Love it. All right, let's rattle off these 1-star bets. I'll come back to you, Fonseca. Give me your 1-star play.
Celtics first half against the Nets. The Nets have been one of the worst teams, but one of the worst first half teams in the NBA so far. Have only covered 4 first halves in 13 contests. Boston, actually, on the flip side, has covered 8 of 14, one of the better percentages in terms of ROI and just in general in first halves in the NBA so far. I believe they're in the top 10 in terms of covering first halves or around that right now. Brooklyn's in the bottom 2 or 3. And I just don't think that the Nets are good. So Boston's kind of like under the hood, been a little bit better as of late, considering the start that they got off to where people were writing them off. I don't think they're probably as good as some Celtics optimists may, but they should be good tomorrow night. They should be very good tomorrow night against the Brooklyn Nets. So this is a matchup I like for them, and it may end up being a 3-point party, given how easy offense can come against this team. And it feels like the Celtics could have one of their best efforts in this game.
All right, K1, I'm going to come back to you. Give me your 2-star, and then give me your 1-star as well.
Yeah, 2-star. I got Ace Bailey over 13.5 points and rebounds. This one's actually up to 14.5 now. So I don't like it as much at 14.5, but I would still back it there at that number. I think it's a little bit discounted due to his horrendous game last time. He missed that fun game, Utah-Chicago double overtime, because he fouled out in 10 minutes. So that was something that I have never seen done before, or at least not can recall seeing. Especially not really like a big man doing that. So that was funny, but nonetheless, I like him here in the spot I have him going. I think he has a chance to go over this on points alone here. I have him at about 11.8 points. So, I think in a ceiling game, a ceiling performance where we get some more minutes out of him, he can certainly even have 14 actual points. And then 14.8 rebounds is where I have the rebounds. So even if you want to just take the 3.5 rebounds, if it's still there, I like that as well. My 1-star, pretty similar thought process to Bryan, and I'm also taking Boston, but I went with the full game spread here, 10.5. Brooklyn just has nothing in the tank. They have nothing to offer really, and I think that they have been decent against the spread, the Nets, which has been surprising because of how bad they've been putting out product on the floor that's just been horrendous. I think this is a really bad spot for them because of how good this defense has been for Boston so far this season. Still a top 12 defense, so I think Brooklyn could struggle to really put up some points here. So I don't mind, the Nets team total under as well, but I'm looking here at the full game spread for the Celtics, 10.5.
Yeah, and Brooklyn's coming off a win. They might be feeling good, like, man, at least we got a win. We could just show up here and see what happens in Boston. Mike Fiddle, give me your 1-star.
I'm going to go with Austin Reeves under 24.5 points. This is just thinking that this game total is probably going to come down a little bit. It's at 237.5 in the market. So I think the game will take some under action. And I think that means also Reeves's prop should come down a little bit. I also really like no double-double at -500 for Austin Reeves, but I understand that people don't like to play that amount of juice as a straight bet. I'm fine with the chalk. Reeves's usage should drop with Luka and LeBron. And I also think his minutes might drop a little bit in the first game back. So I'm looking to fade Austin Reeves. He's been fantastic in his early season production, but I think he might take the biggest hit as LeBron gets reintegrated, because we know Luka's still going to have the complete control in the floor and the keys. LeBron's going to get also a pair of keys and say, you do whatever you want as well. So it's going to be Reeves that kind of drops off, and Ayton and Rui and a lot of these players around the Lakers should be able to complement those two as well. It'll be Reeves on ball usage that drops the most. So I'm going Reeves under 24.5 points.
Yeah, and even if Gabe Vincent goes too, he's questionable on the list. That could even be another guy that handles the rock a little bit as well. I like that look, Mike Fiddle. All right, let's take a look at this king of the court. Have a little fun here. I'll go to the projection man himself, K1, Kyle Murray. Who you got for DraftKings king of the court? Most points, rebounds, and assists tomorrow night in the association.
Yeah, so far in the projections, I was telling Bryan and Fiddle before we went live, this is, I think, one of the more exciting, like, widespread king of the court slates of the year, just because you have Luka, who I think is going to be at the top of people's boards here, but no Giannis, no SGA, no Jokic, and then Luka is in a new situation where LeBron's coming back. Reeves is a guy who can certainly take up some of these stats. So I think he's easily like the most volatile favorite that we've seen on a king of the court slate so far this year. So you could really make a case for a lot of people. But yeah, right now, Luka has about a 10 projection edge in the PRA category over Cade, who's second, for most likely to take on the king of the court here.
All right, who's your pick for king of the court?
Yeah, for me, we're in the tiers. I was assigned the value option here. I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm going with Jalen Duren as the king of the value on the slate here. Again, like we talked about a little bit earlier, king of fun, Jalen Duren. Like we talked about earlier with the Hawks in this line, I think that there's a chance that Cade misses this one. And I think that the upside for Duren isn't even necessarily hurt that much if Cade plays. But, tonight we saw 31 and 15 and 3 assists for Jalen Duren. So his ceiling is just massive, especially if Cade's out. This is a game where, obviously Fiddle's on the over. The total's fairly low, but I think this is a spot where, again, we're expecting more pace here. Pistons are a top 5 pace team. Hawks are top 12. So I like Jalen Duren quite a bit in the spot. This could easily be, a 15-plus rebound spot again here. And I think he's shown that he has consistent 20-plus point upside. So I like Jalen Duren and the king of fun. And I think you can really make a case for a lot of these guys who are in that 30 to 35 PRA range because, again, there's just a lot of volatility up top.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. That's a great breakdown, K1. Fiddle, KOC, who is it?
I'm going to go with Luka Doncic. Give me the chalk here. He's going to command so much usage. His stat set is incredibly condensed. He will get nearly a triple-double and probably close to 40 points. Even with LeBron coming back, I think that might deter some people off of Luka looking for a pivot. I don't think we have a Giannis, a Jokic, a Wemby, a SGA on this slate. So when that all falls into place, I like to just go with the chalk and think the chance that Luka wins exceeds what his ownership stake will be. So if Kyle has him projected at like a 31 chance to win, I don't think he's going to be 31% owned. So I'll go with Luka Doncic and actually think there's value in chasing the chalk occasionally, and this being one of those slates.
Fonseca, KOC, who is it?
Jalen Johnson's putting up stupid numbers without Trae Young. So since Trae Young went down, since we last saw him, Jalen Johnson, 8 games, is averaging 22, 11, and 7 with a touch of rounding there. It's actually a little more. It's actually close to 22.5 points and 7.5 assists. Just ridiculous. And ultimately, he's going to be in line to do this again, even against a Detroit team that's playing really well. But Detroit's going to be on the second night of a back-to-back. So Jalen Johnson is always going to be a contender for this, even if he's not particularly always going to win it, because it's a very hard thing to do. But look, against Utah the other night, and I know it's Utah, but 31, 18, and 14. And even when we most recently saw him 25, 10, and 7, he's putting up numbers that'll get you in the ballpark of this. And against Detroit, I think it's a decent matchup for him, and we know he's going to get a ton of usage given that Trae Young is out and is still going to be out for a while.
All right, I'll have some fun. I'll jump in to the king of the court talk. Give me Denny Avdia. What are we talking about, boys? They're playing the Phoenix Suns. The total's 236.5 at DraftKings. Portland's the second fastest paced team in the league. If they could get Phoenix to play a little quicker, who's essentially pretty slow. They're down in like the lower half of the league, like 2022, I believe, last time I checked. So, and Denny's been going ballistic. Have you seen Denny's numbers the last 8 games? 29, 7, and 5. He could hang a big number here on the Phoenix Suns. Drew Holiday is doubtful. Denny mess around and go 35, 8, and 7 on those boys, and he's the KOC. Denny Avdia would be a really fun one, and that'd be a good value play. That's where my token will be. All right, quick little recap. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. You know what to do. Really quick, 3-star play from Michael Fiddle's Warriors -3, K1, Keldon Johnson over 22.5 PRA, Bryan Fonseca, LeBron James to make 2 triples. Fiddle, 2-star, Atlanta, Detroit over 228.5. Keep your eye on the injury report there. No point guard theory. K1, Ace Bailey over 13.5 points plus rebounds. He will not foul out in 10 minutes. Bryan Fonseca, Goga Batadze over 9.5 points and rebounds. 1-stars, Austin Reeves under 24.5 points for Fiddle. K1, Boston -10.5. And Fonseca is aligned. Celtics first half -6.5. For the fellas, for Michael Fiddle, for K1 Kyle Murray, for Bryan Fonseca, I'm your host, Sean Little. Until next time, which is tomorrow, let's get buckets, baby.